The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation, because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why the actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations.
Good evening and welcome back to The Blueprint. Man, you know who I am. I'm Lowe's Moore, right? That's what KD said. Man, y'all know who I am, right? I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. And welcome back to The Blueprint, man. I'm really excited again. Number one, I'm excited because it's March Madness. I mean, this is the time that we get excited about playing ball, right? It's something that I tried to accomplish in my lifetime. I tried to make it to the NCAA. That's what it was all about. It was winning an NCAA championship. I mean, one of the main goals is to win during your season, get into the conference, win your conference and be one of those bids, be a part of the bracket in March and watch the magic comes. I mean, even I have to say this though, the conferences. I mean, during the season, that there's another. If you lose or win a game, there's another game tomorrow. But one of the major keys is that you need to keep winning so you get the right seed to get in your conference. And then after the conference, man, once you get to the conference, man, we don't talk much about the conferences, but you're seeing it, every day for the last week or so. You've been watching people trying to get to the NCAA final 68, 64, whatever they are. We're trying, teams are trying to get there. And so, that's bananas as well, man. I mean, everybody trying to win, upsets, and literally, I may have been a good player, but we didn't have the greatest team. And 3 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, we made it to the championship each year, and we were predicted to come in last place. But each year we made it to the championship, man. It was just crazy getting to your conference playoffs and trying to win that so you can get to the NCAA March Madness. I mean, it's just crazy. But before I get into that, right, I just want to let you know there's been some wonderful games already, right? And, we're on the show today to meet one of my good friends, right? And I'll tell you a little bit more about him a little bit later. But, man, let me jump into it. I'm really excited because check out my shirt. That's called King, right? I was at the King Movement Summit this weekend. Got there Thursday into Philadelphia, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Went to church this morning and then drove back to New York. What an amazing time I had. Had to be like 300 men from all over the country. There are 18 to 19 different chapters around the nation, and everybody was there. Philadelphia just started a new chapter. Man, they crowned about 30 or 40 men from the Enon Church, Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia, one of the largest churches in Philadelphia, man. They crowned about 40 or 50 guys, man. It was so amazing. It was our largest crowning yet. And of course, our president, Chris Broussard, was doing his thing out there. I mean, he's the visionary. He's the guy who came up with the concept. And it was just a wonderful time. I mean, check this out. Jason Advin, 10 years, right, in the NFL, was there. I played basketball with him a few years ago in the celebrity game, and he won MVP. He was on my team. We made a major comeback. It was awesome, man. And we had William, the Ambassador Branch, man. I don't know if any of you guys know the Ambassador, man. He's a Christian rapper from the old school, man. He did an amazing job on how to serve how to share the gospel, man. I tell you, he was awesome, man. I mean, listen to some of these topics. Pastor Curtis Dunlap, man. Let's talk about sex, honoring God with our bodies. And then they had NFL Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins was there. His testimony was just crazy. Chris Pender, he was talking about being a husband and a father and a godly man. And then Hall of Famer Eddie George was there. He Saturday, he had an amazing testimony as well. Stephen Stacks, we were dealing with financial situations. And Dr. Mason, senior pastor in Epiphany Fellowship Church, man, he was awesome. And then Damon Richards, this was an awesome session where he was defending the faith in difficult times, man. I just say, man, it was awesome. We had an amazing time. I love getting together with the brothers, and because we tackle a lot of issues, and I think sometimes Black men get a bad rap, right? But I want to say those 300 or 400 men that we had at the conference this weekend, man, they are all men of God. They all love their wives. They're all amazing fathers or learning to be an amazing husband and father. And it's just an awesome brotherhood. And, we just had a great time. A little tired from the weekend, but I'm raring to go because it was just an awesome opportunity. And so let me jump right into it. As we've already dropped the pebble in the pond, we are expecting a ripple effect of this show. We never know. Somewhere down the road, somebody's going to see this show. Somebody's going to hear about the show, and they're going to be blessed, right? Somebody may get blessed tonight, right? So this is just awesome. So let me start out with my book of the week. All right. Yeah, this is, you can see right behind me. I have this book right behind me, Zion Clark, right? He was on my show a little while ago. But Zion, I don't know if you had a chance to go to Netflix. And Zion was born with no legs. He was a wrestler. And, man, he got his second book out, called Work With What You Got. Right. I haven't started reading it yet because I got it just before I left to go to the conference. I'm looking forward to it, man. I remember on the show he was talking about his second book, and man, just an awesome young man, just doing great work right now. I think he's an MMA fighter right now as well. I mean, his testimony, his story is just so powerful. If you get a chance, go to Netflix and check out Zion Clark. On Netflix, you got a documentary up there, and that's my book of the week. Make sure you get that. Yeah, I don't even know if it's in stores yet. They just sent me one, so I don't know if it's in stores, but look it up. I think I've seen it on Google. Google it and see if it's there, and just pick up a book, Zion's book, right? And then the word of the week, right, is movement, right? Man, this word is so multi-dimensional. Right. So crazy. I was with the King movement. We are a movement of men of God, man, men of faith. Right. And we're a movement. That means like there's a lot of us and we're moving in the right direction. And then, this movement is so powerful. Right. I learned that as I get older. Right. One of the most important thing is you got to move. Right. If you're sitting all the time, man, you're not standing. The body is not made to sit. Right. It's made to move. You got to get some movement going. You hear on Saturday mornings, sometimes when me and my wife are walking, the first thing when we out there, she goes on live on Facebook. right? And she start talking, well, okay, we out here walking, right? And then you hear her say, get up and move, right? Movement is so critical, right? No matter what age you are, you got to get up and move. You got to get up and do something, right? So you can keep this body, mind, and spirit healthy. So movement is my word of the week. And then here's my affirmation of the week, my Hill Harper and Pierce Harper affirmation moment. No one has control over your life but you. You're in full control, right? Don't let nobody control you. Whoever controls your mind controls you. You control your own mind. You control your own decisions, right? But occasionally, you will hear from your parent. You will hear from a loved one. You will hear from a coach. You hear from a teacher, right? And they are sowing seeds in your mind, right? That will help you go in the right direction. But you get to choose whether or not, when people are giving you information, you get to choose what you do with that information, right? So that's so important. You are in control of what you think. And then here's my movie and my music of the week. Hey, check this out. I got the ambassador up there. What a great guy, man. He got a number of things out, but the gospel is one. And if you get a chance, check it out. Go to YouTube, put up the ambassador, right? I think it's William Bunch. Put up the ambassador and check out some things, man. He's dropping, well, he's spitting and he's dropping some knowledge, man, right? About faith and also about his life and the testimony of his life. And then here's the movie that's coming out. We learned, and I actually got a ticket to the premiere of Big George Foreman. This is a movie coming out shortly here, and it's connected to the King movement. They got a serious connection with this. And each man there got a ticket to go to the premiere. But George's faith, right, is on display in this movie. And so it's about to come out. And I know I'm going to go see it. So make sure you go check out Big George Foreman. And then I think I got some shout outs here. Yeah, we might just put on. Hey, we're celebrating Women's Month, right? Women's History Month. We've been doing it all month. The whole month of March, we've been doing it, right? And man, Jennifer Lewis, right? I mean, she I don't know, she's just an amazing actress, just an amazing actor. A couple of things I remember from is called The Preacher's Wife, right? I don't know if you remember Whitney Houston's mom in The Preacher's Wife. And actually, I didn't really get to meet her, but I was at the premiere of the Preacher's Wife, and we went to a celebration after The Preacher's Wife. And I tell you, that lady right there, along with Whitney at that time, and so many of the entertainers that was there and actors that were there, man, she had so much energy, right? And she's a great actor. And so we want to pay a tribute to her today on Black History Month, man. This is our Black History Women's History moment. And man, she's been in a lot of movies, man, and I always enjoy her. Remember The Brothers? Hey, if you know if there's a movie I forgot, man, put it in the right up there. If I forgot a movie, put her up there. What movie did she play in? Show me that. Show me a couple of movies that you've seen her in and what you thought about her acting skills. Yeah. And then next, what's up next? Yeah, we want to do a shout out. NCAA bound. Congratulations to ECU. Going to the NCAAs, right? Man, thanks Man, y'all won a championship, man. That's amazing. You are on your way, right? Thanks to both coaches. Yeah, husband and wife did an amazing job this year. Man, go get it, right? Hey, we all at 0 now. All you got to do is go out and perform, right? I got a couple of shout outs here. Want to say happy birthday to my nephew Lloyd, to my cousin Mike, my cousin Stevie. Man, can you believe it? Stevie's 70 years old, man. I mean, wow. Stevie, they used to call him back in the day, man. He's play basketball with the Marvin High School. He used to call him Turn, right? Because if you were standing in front of you and he would just spin away from you so fast, next thing you know, he was shooting a shot or making a layup. Happy birthday, Turn. And then next Sunday, we got Diane Nolan. Both my wife, right? My wife and my daughter played for Fairfield University, and Diane recruited them and coached them. And then, Diane had an amazing career at Fairfield. Then she went over to Lafayette College, and now she's announcing at Quinnipiac. I mean, I'm looking forward to having a conversation with her next week, right? And then I think, man, this is my man, Pastor Calvin Duncan from VCU. He got his number in the rafters up there, man. He's gonna have a very powerful story. Man, got drafted by the Chicago Bulls, but instead of playing in the NBA, he went to play for Athletes in Action. I mean, this is, he's the pastor over at Richmond in Richmond, Virginia. I was with him this weekend. He's a part of the King movement. Man, he had an amazing career, right? And, actually played with Jeremy Lamb's father. I mean, it's just, man, it's just going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. And so I think that's it for the shout outs, right? So let's get rolling now. And since we in March Madness, I want to come and show you a couple of videos, kind of get you excited, and then I'll introduce my guests.
If we retrace our steps, we can still feel it all. Pride. Pure joy. And the ultimate risk. Love and respect. Shocking the world. And showing out. All for that sweet confetti feeling. When you step into the greatness of this moment, you'll feel it too. March Madness. Feel it here.
Yeah, keep rolling.
We all know the destination.
There's the pass to Leitner.
Through for the win. Smart takes the shot.
Wittenberg. Archie Diacono gives it to Jenkins.
Gone! Brew did it!
Oh, that's a long way.
They won it!
Indiana wins the championship. Who has the championship? For Arizona. North Carolina is the national champion.
But it's the journey that defines us.
They are going to play very, very hard. But we're going to play harder than they do. This is going to be a fight. The only way we can even come close to getting this is really dig in and get in the fight.
One stumble, and it may be the end.
I'm so proud of you seniors for fighting.
Each obstacle prepares you for the true test. Every game, every moment is one step closer to the destination. Are you ready?
welcome to March Madness on the Blueprint with my main man, Delaney Rudd. Delaney, what's up, man?
Oh, man, Lowe's, I appreciate you having me on, man. I look forward to talking to you.
Yeah, man. I don't know about you. I was back here getting excited. I was like thinking like I was back in the day, man. I was looking for some sneakers and a uniform, man.
Well, I was getting excited because this is going to be the first time you probably ever passed the ball to anybody.
Okay. I heard you was talking about me, man. You know.
Well, I always tell the story. You know, when I played in New York with you, you know, they told me the legendary story of Lowe's Moore, and you know, you took me to the playground with you and showed me the ropes up in New York. So I always tell everybody, you know, I had the opportunity to play with a legend early on.
I appreciate that. You know, I knew my role, man. That's what my role was not to be Magic Johnson. My role was to be Lowe's Moore.
Well, you were good. You were good. You were close.
And so were you, right? I mean, I had an amazing time with you, man. It was, you know, because it's good to have teammates that you can have fun with. I think because that was an experimental league. Right. And I think a few weeks ago, I showed some pictures of Manute Bol and Spud Webb. I mean, they were kind of like the upper echelon of, you know, the marketing strategy for the USBL. Right. And man, we were just getting rolling. And the thing was Earl of Pearl Monroe and Walt Frazier from the New York Knicks was co-commissioner of the USBL, you know, and it lasts exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year.
Well, it definitely wasn't. We sure didn't do it for the money. That's for sure.
No, we didn't. But it was fun. It was fun. And I you know, you can't find any information on it. You know, but I think I got a picture over here, man. I don't know. You know, somebody had a picture back when we were on the team, right? I don't know why they didn't wait till I got dressed, but you know, can we see? I think we can see that picture. I think it's up there. Let's see here. Well, there you go, Coach.
Wow.
There go you in the corner, man. I don't know why you was hiding in the corner over there, man.
Oh my God, 30 pounds ago.
You know, Coach Howard Wilson. You know, I don't even know none of the rest of them guys, man. You know, I don't even see Jim Bostic. You know,
Bostic was sitting down. He was probably just tired.
What, tired, hitting a few people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, those are good times, man. I just tell you. And then, so talk a little bit about before we get rolling here, get a little deep into some family stuff. Because, you know, we play on teams, right? I played on a bunch of teams where, you know, I met a lot of individuals, and then, you know, either you get waived or they get waived, and you know, you remember being with them, you remember playing with them, you remember having a good time with them, and then they're gone. You don't know where they went. Like, I don't know. When I got cut, they didn't know where I went. I mean, so the league is over, right? The USBL is over. What happens for you after that?
Oh, wow. You know, I had quite a journey, you know, going from that to summer leagues, trying to get picked up. You know, after that, I think I had an opportunity to try out with the Knicks, and I went to LA Summer League and played with them. And, you know, just I got drafted, obviously, by Utah. I got cut, you know, went through that whole journey of trying to just hold on. And, you know, caught a couple breaks, you know, went to the summer league with Utah, got cut. I mean, with New York, got cut, got kind of picked up again by, you know, by the Bucks, and tried out for their summer league team. and eventually end up going to the CBA and, you know, into over in Europe for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think that, you know, one of the things is because you played for actually a couple of weeks ago, I was down in North Carolina, right, hanging out with my brothers and family and stuff like that, and we got a chance there. You know, every time I come down there, Derek Wittenberg always say, "Man, you an hour away, man. You never give me a call." So this time I was in Charlotte and went down to Fayetteville. And on that Monday on my way to Fayetteville, I gave him a call, man. I said, "Look, man, you got a game on Wednesday, man. I'm going to come on up there, right?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, come on up, man." You know, so he gave me tickets, and we went up to see North Carolina State and Wake Forest.
Oh, wow.
I don't know where they play so darn late, though, man. It was 9 o'clock game, man. I was like, what's going on? You know, got brother a little bit older in there.
Tobacco Road, man. Everybody got to get off work.
Yeah. It was a good game, and it was a celebration of the 40th anniversary of NC State winning the national championship.
Gosh.
Yeah, and so
all those yesterday.
I know, and all those players was there. The family, Jim Valvano's family was there. I got to see my man Sidney Lowe, who played with me in the CBA. We won a CBA championship together, you know, and yeah, man, I was thinking about you too, man. When I said, we're gonna see Wake Forest. Delaney played for Wake Forest, man. So I thought about you then, man. And so talk a little bit about you know, high school, playing ball in high school, because you know we're in March Madness, right? We're in March Madness right now, and so talk a little bit about what your thoughts were, you know, as a kid growing up, wanting to play basketball, you know, playing high school, going to college. Talk a little bit about that, and I mean, talk about whether or not you got to the March Madness. Or talk about your experience, like that whole process in basketball.
Well, you know, I grew up in you know, small town Hollister, North Carolina, which is you know, sometimes you grow up in little towns and people treat it as if you don't supposed to survive or make it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And in this situation, I just had coming up in high school, I had a good support group. I had coaches that, you know, put time in with me. Whatever the sport was, they always assisted me and made sure I was where I was supposed to be. And I just started believing, you know, I would go and watch the games on TV, and I would go out in the yard and try to be, you know, the Dr. J's and make believe. And so, you know, I just had a dream. I had a vision, and I wanted it. And no matter what, you know, even if I worked in the tobacco field, I still played basketball. So, you know, no matter what happened, I still went outside and did all the things that I needed to do. If it was raining, snowing, it didn't matter. I still, you know, just had that belief that I could do it. And I fell in love with the game. And that's the thing I try to tell a lot of young kids now, you know, it's not going to give you any rewards if you don't fall in love with it. You got to be in love with the game. And I always took it that way. And so I worked hard, and then I had a chance to obviously get a scholarship at you know, great university, Wake Forest, and play in the ACC. And from there, just started to hope and dream that my name was going to be called on draft night. And so, you know, I was very fortunate. I had all those things that they became reality. You know, no, I wasn't a first round pick and all of those things, but there's nothing like, you know, setting out, watching it, the draft for years, and then setting out to do it. And then all of a sudden one night, no matter what the round, your name gets called into the NBA draft. So all the work and all the hard work, and I mean, all the times that you put in, it seems like you're not going to make it, becomes reality on that day. So very fortunate, you know, just happy that I had to, you know, some people don't want to go that route. You know, in today's society, nobody wants to go that route. I went the tough route, and you can relate to what I'm talking about. You know, we didn't get those, you know, $40 million deals right out of school. You know, you might get a 1-year deal, and every day you were looking over your shoulder to see if you were going to make it, you know, the next day. So But I'm thankful for that.
Yeah. I mean, you said something very powerful, man. You had a vision. You could see it. You know, and I always tell people on the show, you got a dream, but then you have to have a vision about where you want to go. You got to create a blueprint, right? That's why we end up naming the show The Blueprint, because you got to have a plan, right? You just can't say, okay, I'm dreaming to go, oh, I got a vision. It's in my head, right? Well, somewhere down the line, you got to write it down and start to practice it, man. So that's an important key that you just shared. And I think there's some other things that go with it. I need you to talk a little bit about it. Talk about, you mentioned it a little bit. Talk about the support of your dream. I mean, your family, your mom and dad. Talk a little bit about them and, that support system. Talk about what they thought about the importance of not only you just playing basketball, right, but talk a little bit about, your mom or dad or family talking about faith and education as a part of that. Because we talking basketball, we talking about March Madness, but we all know you can't get to March Madness if you ain't got no grades. So talk a little bit about your family's mindset around faith and education.
Well, I grew up pretty much a single parent, my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was around some, he would be there. But, one of the toughest things for me was that my mom had to, she had to do what she had to do. She had to work as much as she could, but she did everything she could to make sure, I had the, things that I needed to make sure I could play sports. I never got pushed to the side as far as you can't go. She always tried to make a way, even if she couldn't be there. I had grandfather, grandmother support. We lived pretty much out on a farm. And, it's kind of funny because I'm right now renovating the home that we grew up in, which was, I went back there today, and it's a 2-bedroom house. And I'm for the first time putting running water in the house.
Wow.
And so, we grew up in that environment, but we made it. We had a farm, and we worked the farm from tobacco to cucumbers to whatever we did. We grew a lot of our food. So I grew up in that environment. So I learned at an early age that, sometimes things are not going to be comfortable. It's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be comfortable. And that's the values that I got from them because I watched them do it all their life. And, I recall my grandfather, he worked in like timber, cutting trees and lumber yard. And he would come home every day, and every morning he would talk about how his legs hurt. But every day he got up and he went back again. And so many times during my sports career, I had knee surgeries and things like that. All I could do was just think about, well, I ate at a young age because his legs hurt. And so I couldn't give up and quit because I had that, as we said a little bit ago, I had that vision and that dream. And so, growing up in a little town like that, yeah, we had church. That was the thing. On Sunday, you were going to church. Even as a little kid, if you thought it was the worst thing in the world, you were going, right?
That's right.
That was what are you going to wear on Sunday? So we grew up, in a Baptist church, and a lot of the family end up, I have a lot of family now that are pastors, and my father's side, had pastors, and so church was a big thing down in the country because it's a vital part of the community because everybody knows everybody. You could today's society is a little different because of TV, social media, But back then, if they didn't see you at church, they come to your house that day looking for you because they was concerned that something was wrong. You had to be sick or something. So, growing up with those type of values and understanding it. Now, today, I need to go to church more because am coaching basketball, and we all know that when you're a coach in high school or AAU basketball, your church becomes a gym and your practice facility. And so you got to relate back to your upbringing, the things that you heard, you would listen to your parents or your grandparents say. And I touch on this because I said my father wasn't there, but we rekindled that relationship at some point. And I was able to, spend the last years of my father's life with us having a relationship. And so that was very important to me as well. And when I was playing ball in France in 98, 95, I think 98, my mom got killed in a car accident. And then, so I dealt with that and had to deal with that and continue to play for another year or something. And then this past year, last year, my father passed away at 80 years old. But, the great thing is we were able to rekindle that relationship and talked a lot on the phone and saw each other at family reunions. And so I'm very fortunate. I still had them in my life.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so tell me, on the farm, you wasn't milking cows, were you? I mean,
Well, I can tell you the truth. The answer to that is I have milked a cow before. I've milked a cow. I can't even start to tell you, Lo. When you're out on that farm, man, you see some strange stuff, and you learn how to deal with it, man. Every time you eat a chicken, sometimes you have to be the one who get the chicken out of the yard.
It was, interesting. My oldest son, Lowe's III, got a chance to go to Ghana, and he stayed with a family in Ghana. He was like there, I think, like 6 months. He was there in Ghana, and they told him to, go down to the store and get a chicken. Yeah. He goes down to the store, and he thinking like he gonna get a pack of chicken.
He brought that chicken back.
That chicken was alive.
Yeah.
And he don't know how to handle a chicken, So
yeah, you gotta know how to ring you gotta know how to do that.
Well, he got back and he carrying the chicken. You carrying the chicken like, oh shoot, let me get back. Carry the chicken, and he get back, and then he seen what the lady does to the chicken. Bring his bag, throw it in the hot water, and he's in there picking feathers. And he called us and he said, he's officially a vegetarian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because if you see something like that, man, I mean, we didn't live on a farm, but my grandfather, of course, did his vegetables and all that stuff like that. He had corn, he had pigs, and he had chickens, and we were excited when we got down there. My grandfather, he gets out the truck. He got 2 chickens. He's holding them under his arm like that, and we, oh, Granddad home. So we run outside. We opened the door and just bust outside. Oh, Granddad home, and he grabbed like the chicken by the head like that, whoosh, and threw him up in the air like that. And we saw the chicken fly. We looked up and see the chicken fly in the air. We looked at his hand. He had the head in his hand, right? Yeah. And then we looked on the ground like that. We ran each other over trying to get in the house because the chicken had no head. Yeah, he's still running around, right? So I mean, there's some trauma on the farm, man.
Yeah. That's called doing what you have to do.
Yeah. And that night, my grandmother, of course, they picked the feathers and, cooked the chicken, and we were all sitting there. When she put that on the on the plate, I was like, look, this is time. I'm going to eat my vegetables. And I'm going to eat.
Was it fried or she just?
Oh, man. I mean, these young people don't know today. They just don't know. They get how well they have it. But
life is a little bit easier.
Yeah, it is, man. And so talking about March Madness, man, you were at Wake Forest. Talk about that experience. Did you ever get a chance to get to the NCAA?
Yeah, 3 out of 4 years. You know,
Man,
we had the great, you know, we just had a super team, you know, and I always, my freshman year, you know, we end up playing against Keith Lee back in the day.
I remember Keith Lee, Kentucky, right?
Keith Lee was it Memphis?
Memphis, yes, Memphis
Tigers.
Yeah.
Keith Lee, man.
Yeah.
Keith Lee, we played them. We played them in the NCAA tournament, and then one year we got to the Elite Eight. That's the year that we beat DePaul when DePaul was number 2 in the country when Ray Myers retired.
Okay.
And then one of my other years, I had the great fortune of having to play Akeem Olajuwon. You know, so you know, I had that experience, and I could tell all these young kids that's playing it. Now it's such a, just watching the selection thing a few minutes ago, you know, started, and the excitement, you can't, you know, people say, why do you get so excited? You know, because it's a part of the belonging thing. You know, you start the season out playing, and all of a sudden you're getting recognized as one of the finalists. You know, whether you win it or not, you're in the group. You got a chance. Mm-hmm. You know, I always say you can't win the lottery if you don't buy a ticket. And so, you know, these kids got to go in and they're trying their best. I mean, so it's an exciting moment, and there's nothing like running out in that crowd in the NCAA tournament, man. It's just a different atmosphere because it's just not your people anymore. It's basketball enthusiasts, you know, people who just love the game that come because they know who you are. And that excitement is incredible.
Yeah. You know, I'm living it vicariously through you. And then last week, Taylor, you know, because we were never really good enough to get there. I mean, it was always my desire to get there. And being in the conference championship 3 years in a row and not winning. And I knew if we didn't win, we didn't have the kind of record that somebody's going to say, select that team, you know, and it was very disappointing as a player when one of your goals is to get there, you know, to, right, like you say, sit in that room and wait for your name to be called. Well, I never experienced it, but, you know, some people that I had the opportunity to coach, you know, like Taylor, I worked out with her when she was a little girl. Right. And I got to see her. She went 3 years, I think 3 years or 4 out of 4, whatever it was. And then, you know, to see Kevin Jones, who went to West Virginia. And of course, to see back in the day, Ben Gordon, who went to UConn, and some of these guys that I had a chance. So you living it through them, you know, because as a player, that's one of the things that you desire, to win a high school championship. You know, to win a state championship, to win an NCAA championship. I mean, to win an NBA championship, man. So, I mean, I get excited for the people who get the opportunity to go.
Well, we were a minute and 20 seconds away from shocking the world of beating Akeem Olajuwon to go into the Final Four, you know, with my little Wake Forest team that, you know, we went in and we had to beat Kansas, we had to beat DePaul, and then we ended up playing Houston. And if we win that, we end up getting another prize. We would have gotten Ralph Sampson. So, you know, so anybody who had the best post players in the world is who they scheduled Wake Forest to play, you know, back then. And so, you know, so we were a minute and something away from shocking the world with the tie game. And that was the year after Houston missed all the free throws. The very next year against us, they learned how to shoot free throws. So they finished off the game.
Oh man, that's tough, man. You know, and yeah, they learn how to free. I like that. How to make free throws next year. Oh, yeah, but you was there, so I mean, yeah. I got no complaints. And then, you know, eventually, you know, everybody talk about Little Wake Forest, but Little Wake Forest has some power over the years. I mean, name a couple of guys, you already know about you, but name a couple of guys, man, that chose little Wake Forest.
Oh, well, you want to go back. I mean, my roommate was Muggsy Bogues. You know, one of the best players I played with was Kenny Green. That was a first-round draft pick. You know, got drafted in front of, I think, Karl Malone in the NBA that year. You know, now, you know, of course, we have, you know, Randolph Childress was a great player there, a point guard. Chris Paul played there. Tim Duncan played there. You know, we got Ish Smith still in the NBA,
right?
Playing there. You know, so we've got we had, you know, a great run at it. You know, Rodney Rogers was a great player that played.
Oh man, I remember Rodney Rogers.
Yeah. So you know, talent comes through, and you know, and they gave us a great opportunity. And back when I was coming along, you know, to go to Wake Forest out of our state was a big deal because it's a private school, educational institution, you know. So to get into Wake Forest and have that opportunity to play at Wake Forest was a big deal because they just you know, they had to choose from so many different variations of why they could take you. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, and I was recruited by Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons. Well, no, I was recruited by Wake Forest, man.
Well, we could talk about that mistake you made later if you didn't come.
and you know, my first choice, because I was born in Plymouth, North Carolina. Right. In an early age, like age 5, I moved to Mount Vernon, New York, my mom and dad. And I was big on going, a big fan of David Thompson, you know, and my number one choice was to go to North Carolina State. Because I wanted to go somewhere in North Carolina. I wasn't going to go to North Carolina because Phil Ford was there. You know, that's just a bad decision, you know, to go sit behind Phil Ford, right? You got to go somewhere and try to make your own name, you know. So, but not to get into the why I didn't go. I wanted to go, right? But it didn't happen. And of course, West Virginia offered me a scholarship. And, you know, I was off and running, you know. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we love North Carolina, man. It's just a very special place. But you had some where did Kenny Anderson play?
Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech. Yeah. I was thinking he went to Wake Forest, but Georgia Tech. So it's an amazing school. Anybody looking for an amazing school out there? My good friend Peter Sherrill, his son just graduated from Wake Forest, right? And I got people that are up here now. One of my lawyer friends, he has a home in Wake Forest, right? Okay. When he retired, he gonna be there. You know, he's often there all the time. Lyndon Williams, he got a home in Wake Forest. So everybody's moving down there, man. And remember, there's my cousin Ray Jordan over there. He said Tobacco Row. And remember, this is interactive. So if you guys got any comments, any questions, man, we got the great Delaney Rudd on. We kicking it tonight, and we're having some fun. And we can't forget, I was just about to say, my wife's cousin is Gil McGregor. Now you go back in the day, you know, you got Gil McGregor and you got Gilbert Jr. No, actually, Gilbert McGregor is a junior, and I think his son is the third. I think I had both of them on. On the show. You know, I think about a month ago I had them on there, and of course, Gil was the announcer and voice of, you know, the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah. And and we saw Gil when we was in Charlotte. We saw Gil the time before we was in Charlotte. Man, I love that guy. He's amazing.
Yeah, let me go back and do my list again. It was Muggsy Bogues and all those guys and Gil McGregor. Yeah. You met Gil, right? Oh yeah, I know Gil well.
Oh yeah.
He was my academic advisor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's my wife's cousin, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They, you know, because her mom is from Charlotte. Yeah. So small world, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. So after leaving the playing the NBA, going overseas, what was your thoughts? It's over now, because one of the hardest things for players, we start this game young, right? And we play, and we hear the applause, people clapping, screaming, were they screaming at us or for us, or being in that locker room with all your teammates, right? And you going through years thinking like, this is never going to end. I'm just love this. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and that experience is no longer there. What happens after it's all over for you? What happened?
Well, when I left the NBA, I left to go over to when I went overseas, it was because obviously back then, you had so many things to calculate. Like I was able to play. Fortunate enough, I mean, I got to give credit to, Frank Layden that was in Utah, because Frank liked me. And when I got cut by Utah, obviously it was back then somebody's got a guaranteed contract. They weren't eating contracts back then like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy had a $500,000 contract back then, they were going to pay that guy. They weren't going to eat it. Now
right.
they'll eat the $20 million deal.
Yeah.
So I got caught in those number games, and Frank told me pretty much when they let me go, to hang in there because he thought I could play in the NBA and I was deserving. And so when I finally got that chance and he brought me in for that 1 year, at the end of that 1 year, I remember Frank, when I signed my next deal, which was a 3-year deal, Frank said, I remember what he said to his son, Scott. He says, let's make sure this guy gets his pension. Let's give him enough years. He deserves to get his pension. And I remember that like it was yesterday, man. That was some powerful words for me, because you don't know what that means in the beginning when you're playing, because you're not thinking when you're 55, 60 years old what that would mean. And so, I played long enough to do that. And then after that, obviously it became about how to try to make money. And where was that going to be? Like, was it going to France or going to another NBA team and doing a make good contract? And Charlotte had some interest in me, and they offered me a 1-year deal, but it wasn't guaranteed. So, here I go again. I got to go through the whole process. So my agent found me a situation in Lyon, France, and I went over there, and I was going for a year. And once I got there, I just absolutely loved it. I was like, wow, this is a chance for me to be the John Stockton or the Michael Jordan or whomever in this country. Right. It's a great opportunity for me to finally let it go and just live my life. And when I got there, I enjoyed it. I kept signing 2-year deals at a time, and I ended up staying there 6 years and pretty much retired there and just had a great experience. And, now my jerseys, they retired my numbers hanging up in the rafters. Tony Parker owns the team. And, they retired my jersey. I was an all-star there. I had a great experience there. I love the city there. I love the people there. And so it was good. And so that got what that did for me, what I needed to do for basketball.
Right.
It fulfilled it. It made me feel like all of it was worth it. I just wasn't on a team. I was also a vital part of a whole organization, a whole program. And obviously then, when the ball stopped bouncing, you go through it. It's tough. I tell everybody out there, it's heartaches and hardships and things that, good decisions, bad decisions that come with that retirement thing.
Yeah.
And because you've been in arenas and you've lived a lifestyle that is far different than when you're 60 years old. You don't think it's going to come to that. So it was tough. It was tough I contemplated for about 2 years of whether I should go back and try to play again. And it wasn't about anything else. It's just the camaraderie of the situation. Being in the locker room, being in the city, going out to the restaurants, being in Paris, being in Barcelona, Spain,
Yeah.
it's you miss those things. And so then I calmed down and started to get my senses about myself and decided to start coaching AAU basketball. I was asked to coach a team, and because of my oldest daughter that coaches at, she's the head coach of Virginia Union now. And she is the reason that I'm coaching basketball. And that's where it started. And then my other two daughters came along and I continued to coach. But they're the reasons that I got into girls basketball coaching. And, that's been my hang on, and that's been my go-to. And I'm just happy that all three of them look like me. Yeah. But, but that's how I got to this stage in the high school and the AAU girls basketball, because of my own children. And selfishly, I got in because of my own children, and I'm still in it now because I like coaching other people's children and trying to help them.
Yeah. And talk up a little bit about the program that you connected to now, and talk a little bit about that.
Well, I coach at Winston Salem Christian School. I'm the director of basketball operations there at school, and we're a small Christian school, church-based school. The kids still take religious classes. They take Bible. We go to school and we do those things that are surrounded by a Christian school. And so, but I was able to come to this place again in coaching and find myself, and then be allowed to reach out and take the kids all over the country to play at a, very competitive level, because I want to give every one of the kids that come to our school, I want to give them the understanding and the belief that they can achieve, things at a higher level. Mediocrity, I've seen it when it happens. When people tell you, we got to do this because we can't do that, and I've never been one, because of my life and the way my life has been. I just don't believe in that. I believe that you go out, you play the best competition, you compete as hard as you can, and you hope you win. But if you don't, hopefully you're going to gain scholarships and a life lesson to be a better person. I mean, there are some kids that come to us sometimes that I get some kids, and just being honest, they leave schools and the old coach said, you can't handle that kid. That kid is rotten. That kid is not going to do this and not going to do that. And I find myself in a role of trying to help that kid get through that, because that was me once. And sometimes I give in to it and sometimes I don't. Sometimes you still have to make rules and regulations and boundaries and say, hey, you got to go if you don't do right at some point. But, we try to work with those kids and get them in the right environment and try to get the, spirit in the right place. And so they can go on with their life. And when they leave us, they've had a great experience.
Yeah. So tell me the little story, how you ran into my daughter.
Well, your daughter obviously coaching, and one day I can't remember the city we were in, but we were talking and she comes up and she says, hey, coach. And we were talking and she says, I'm Lowe's Moore's daughter. And I stared at her and I was like, what? I said, I played with that man, your dad. She said, yeah, he told me about you. And we started talking. And after that, we connected. And so now every time we see each other, we hug and, because we're family, because, you were there. I tell people, man, you were there at a tough time in my life, because none of us knew what we were going to do. I'm a little country guy in New York City, right? I'm in New York. You took me in and showed me the ropes and, how to practice and how to think the game and how to drive around Westchester, and, all those things. And, and I appreciate that so much. So when we connected and she told me that she was your daughter, it was a great feeling because, we had lost contact, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was the start of this, of us rejoining, and I'm very thankful for it. And she does a great job coaching. And when I watch her on the sideline scouting, you know, she's paying attention and all those things, and she does a good job. So I'm happy we had that chance to meet.
Yeah, yeah. And so, yeah, when she came home and said, "Hey, man, I saw Delaney Rudd," I was thinking in my mind, Delaney Rudd. What Rudd? Yeah, that's all I could think of.
Small
right?
world, man. I'm happy it happened though, Lowe's, because we you know, people that didn't have to go through what we did to try to survive in the game, man. You know, that was some tough stuff we did. I mean, those practices, and they weren't easy, man. It was a true test of whether you wanted that thing or not.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, everybody, you know, they think, you know, I don't think we knew. We were told, you know, that it's hard, you know, to make it to the NBA and, you know, to be successful with basketball. I mean, I remember people telling me every job has a risk. Every career has a risk to it. You know, and one of our risks was, of course, injury. You know, you could get injured. You know, one of your jobs is that not many of you get to make it, you know. And somebody said to me yesterday when I was at the summit, you know, the King Summit, and he said to me, "Hey, man, I said, you a legend, man." I was like, "Man, I don't know about being a legend," but he said, "Let me tell you something, man. Yo, anybody that can make it to the NBA when there's only 400 of them guys making a team, right, done something in their life." You know, so yeah, and then you don't know the work or the disappointment. You know, I'll never forget. I was playing for Cleveland, right? And I had played that 1 year, and then I'm back for the. I'm not guaranteed, because you mentioned the fight for being guaranteed, right? So I'm not guaranteed, right? And you talked about the numbers game. Well, Cleveland had 38 guaranteed players, right? People were sitting at home getting paid, right? And I'm trying to make the team, and I'm doing suicides, you know, and because, you know, you got to be number one. You run the suicide, and I'm kicking it, you know. And it was a dude I was fighting with from Pittsburgh, man, and young dude, and man, I did my suicide, man. And all of a sudden I pull a hamstring, right? You know, I pull a groin muscle, you know. So that night, right, it ain't like okay, I'm gonna take it off, right? So that night I remember, you know, the trainer said, "Look, hey, lay on the floor, put the ice on, you know, on your groin, you know, and try to take as much stress off it as possible." You know, so I felt a little bit better the next day and got out there again, man, ran another suicide, man, pull the other groin, right? So I got 2 ice bags on both sides, both feet hanging up on top of the bed, laying on my back in pain, right? And then go out the next day and try to compete for a spot, right? You know, and get
afraid
to the
not to.
Yeah, afraid. Oh no, you can't. Ain't no choice, or just go home. Well, you had a choice. You can just go home, right? Yeah, but get out there, you know, make the final thing to get to the preseason, right? And then lead them in scoring, steal, assists, free throw percentage, field goal percentage, right? And in the newspaper, it say, can they cut their most valuable preseason player? And the day before, I'm guaranteed, right? The first game, I'm guaranteed for the rest of the year, right? They waived me.
Been there, done. Man,
yeah, man. I mean, you know, so everybody think it's easy.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's the hardest, that's the toughest words that you're ever gonna hear, man. It's like it just cuts through you so deep. You're like, gosh, man, I can't believe it. Because you were in the practice with those other guys, and you couldn't see what they were doing differently than you.
Right.
That's the part. People don't realize that there's a thin line, and you don't see that guy, what is it that he's doing different than I am? I'm outrunning him. I'm playing hard. I'm defending. I'm listening. And so what is it he's doing differently? And then you start to realize that sometimes there's an agent in the background that's got a little bit more juice than your guy did at the time, that's pulling strings and doing things like that. So you learn that once you get older, but when you were there, you couldn't see that.
Right. Now they can't do it now, but back in the day, a player and a coach could have the same agent.
Right.
So, if
you
were representing the coach,
yep,
you want to get your player in, and then that player gets in and you get cut.
Yep.
I
make a deal with you.
Yep. They make, we just talking about the business of sports right now.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly there's a little bit different, but still the same today. Some young people are doing that in some sports, hockey, baseball, football, basketball, all going through it, the business of sports.
Well, the other business of it, Lowe's, is, wouldn't it be nice if you and I could have made $40 million a year and picked the days that we wanted to take off during the week and not play?
Yeah, that would be nice.
You're making $40 million a year, and you look at the schedule and you see Sacramento and Orlando. I don't want to play against them this week. I'm a rest. But we couldn't do that. And you know what the best part of the whole thing was back in our era? Nobody wanted to do that.
That's right. Nobody
wanted to do that. There was no rule in place. I watched Karl Malone play with ankles black and blue, man. I saw guys with the shoulders popped out play, but they didn't want to sit out. No. And now this new thing, I mean, I just can't imagine how nice it must be. You get days off work, man. Go on vacation. You don't even have to come to the arena. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I love basketball so much. I don't miss games, man. I didn't miss a game in high school. I didn't miss a game in college. Man,
I struggle with missing a game in going to practice now. I don't even want to miss practice. I don't even want to miss coaching a game, even on a high school level. And that's the part I guess I don't get when you can do that separation thing. But I guess that's where we've evolved to, where that's the business side of it, to the point we won't understand it because we didn't have that luxury.
Yeah. And talk a little bit about, because there may be some young people out there, man. Talk about the I guess they would be not subtle difference. Well, what are some of the difference? You've been coaching for a little while. And so, like, over time, when you look back at your career and you look at the mindset of players today, is it different? I mean, is it a struggle coaching? Like you say, people, we didn't figure out a way how to get out of practice or how to get out of the game. I mean, do kids love it like that where they don't want to miss practice or games?
Well, you always have some. You're gonna have some kids that's gonna wake up every morning with that burning desire to make practice and to be the best on the court and to learn to get better. But we do live in a society now that there's so many excuses. There's so many elements to coach around. Parents will call you and make an excuse for their children because they want to get them out of practice to go on vacation or something during the season. And, so that's tough for me because, again, my experience of what I had to go through, it just triggers it, When I hear you come in with those excuses, it just triggers my thing because I'm sitting there saying, like, this is crazy. You don't want to miss you don't want to come to practice. You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. And you think you're going to make it. And I'm trying to tell you that it's far different at the next level than you believe. You're not going on vacation. You think I'm gonna get a scholarship and I'm gonna go on vacation and I'm gonna eat the good food and no, you're gonna go do a job, you know. And so it is a little different. The attitude's a little different. You know, the way your coaching style has to change. It does affect you as a coach. I've had to change. You know, when my daughters came along, you know, I could push a little harder. You know, I could get into them pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, and their teammates saw me get into my own children. So their parents were okay with it. But now, you know, you got to take a step back, think about everything comes out of your mouth. You got to, you know, you can't run but so much before you got to give 100 sips of water. You know, it's like, you know, back when we played, you know, again, we go back to the old days. You know, our coaches, I played for Henry Bibby, man. You may not ever drink water. Hey, listen, Henry Bibby was the master of suicides, bro. If you threw the ball away 20 times, you had 20 suicides.
Wow.
Henry Bibby, you never got through a practice with Henry Bibby without suicide. So that's gone. That's over. You can't do that anymore. You can't even mention that. You know, nowadays it's like, hey, get some water. You know, let's get on the line. Let's do a little conditioning. And when a kid gets ready to quit, they want to stop. You know, and then when you get that special group of kids, that's when it's fun, and that's when you get that one kid that stands up and become you and say, hey, let's go. We got to go. We got to go. Stop making excuses. Let's go. And then that's when the fun comes back into the game. But, you know, I still enjoy coaching it. I still enjoy, you know, working with the kids, but it is a little different.
Yeah. Yeah. And where are you at these days? Where you living at?
I live in Kernersville, North Carolina, which is in between Greensboro and Winston-Salem. So, you know, it's a smaller town because I'm a little small town boy. So I always pick you know, I try to pick the area that I can move and shake a little bit without the big city life, you know. But, you know, I enjoy this area and I stayed in the area because of Wake Forest and my relationships here. And, you know, and everything I've done, you know, from my gyms that I used to own. I had some fitness facilities that I was part owner of that I sold some years ago. And I stayed in the area and just been in the gym doing training with kids, camps, clinics, AAU, you know, coaching high school. So, you know, I stayed busy full time in this little area, just working with somebody's kid all the time, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen a couple of videos, I think, of you know, speaking to the kids, talking to the young ladies and stuff like that. And it looked like you're really enjoying it. I mean, I did it for a little while, you know. I mean, you know, working with the Boys and Girls Club for 27 years, right? That was very rewarding. I mean, you're dealing with kids not only from the sports side of it, but you dealing with kids who are dealing with everyday life situations and issues and families. And so that was very rewarding to me. And, you know, then I coached a little AAU with the guys, particularly my son. And also, you know, when my daughter was playing, you know, I enjoyed that process. You know, I had 60, 80 kids doing early morning training, 6 o'clock in the morning, man, you know, getting up. And it was very, very rewarding to see kids, you know, grow into this discipline and to see some of them go on and do well with it. And then after a while, it just like, you know, it just got a little crazy with, you know, you trying to get in the mindset of a kid. But nowadays they go into 10 other workouts.
Shoes, man, shoes.
Yeah, choose one, right? You know,
you know, and then you not only do you have to choose one, you have to choose shoes. What shoe company are you gonna be with? You know what I mean? You got so many things out there, man. You got, you know, hey, I always tell kids, if you're working out with kids, you develop that kid, you got that kid, and here comes somebody selling them on a shoe company.
Yeah.
You know, and they believe that's what makes them a great player because they're going to change shoe companies a 15-year-old.
Wow.
You know, that's the life we live, man. We, you know, hey, I got to go play over here with this team because they're Under Armour. I got to play with this team because they're Nike. And then you watch that kid play 2 years in college. They haven't gotten off the bench because they don't know how to play.
Right.
Because they didn't want to take the time to learn how to play and get the mental part. They were athletic. And, you know, everybody wants an athlete. All of us. We want to coach an athlete.
Right.
But when you get that athlete, you can teach that athlete how to play. Now you got a different player. That's the people at South Carolina. That's the people at UConn. That's the people at those schools because they know they have a high standard, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they go there and they get to play because they learned how to play somewhere. But some people make bad judgments based on the fact that they just don't have patience to wait and learn how to play.
So I say Ray is up there saying, he said, well, he needs to come to my practice.
Ray might, I don't know. Ray like, hey, you need to hear my practice, bro. I don't cut back.
Oh man, we had some other comments up there. I don't know. Somebody had mentioned some things to see if we can pop them back up there. Oh yeah, we got that one. That's Tobacco Row. Somebody had mentioned something about AAU earlier in the show. See if we can find that one. Okay, Edwin. Say them words, coach.
Team Shamrocks.
Yeah, Team Shamrocks.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, my wife owns and her group owns they got a league called the WABA, right? It's been around for a few years now, and I think it's about. I bet you can put up the number of the team that's in the WABA. I had the privilege of going down. They had a Final Four last year. You know, it was a little tough with the pandemic when you're trying to get an upstart league going, right? And they play from August to October, right? And these young ladies, 22 teams, and I had the chance to go to the Final Four and do the podcast at the Final Four in Greensboro, North Carolina last year, man, during that crazy storm, man. Remember the storm? You choose a weekend, you don't think it's gonna go crazy, but we were in Greensboro. I experienced something very, very, you think that rules a little bit different as a professional women's team league. And man, I had them girls are talented, man. Yeah, Hurricane Ian, it was a bit, but I experienced something that weekend, man. There was some ballers out there. Them girls could play, you know, from Atlanta, DC. My wife has a team here in Mount Vernon called the Shamrocks. And I think it was one more team there was there in the Final Four. It was an amazing experience, man. And, you know, it was good to see my wife and her best friend. They played in high school together, Marsha Blunt. Marsha is now the owner of the WABA, and you know, the Midwest Sound. Yeah, they were there, and you know, to see what she's trying to do, because there's so many the Atlanta Angels. There's so many women that come out of college, and you know, there's only I think 10 teams in the WNBA, right? And so what happens when girls want to continue, right? And there's nowhere to go. And if you're not some of the top tier, because now they're taking the top tier of the WNBA and they're going overseas and they're going to make that money, right? And then you still not going to get an opportunity because you don't really have a resume, right? So the WABA helps you to create that resume, you know, live streaming games, and a number of young ladies got a chance to go overseas because of this league. And yeah, it's good to see young ladies getting another opportunity. Right. Yeah. And I like to see this league eventually either be a partner with the WNBA, like the G League, or maybe some of those teams like the ABA back in the day got infused into the NBA,
Right.
So yeah, and giving women more opportunities, man. Yeah. And so what do you see? So you're dealing with women, and you're talk a little bit about your daughters first for playing at West Virginia, my alma mater, and that experience there, and then talk about what you think the future of women's basketball. Talk about a little bit about the women's future of women's basketball, and where you think they can potentially go and grow.
Well, she had a very positive experience at West Virginia. She played for Coach Carey up there, Mike Carey, that was there forever, and
yeah,
and Lester Rowe, was the one who recruited her to come up there. She had a great experience, and Morgantown's a very unique place. You land up there, and it's all about the university, and so it was she had a good time. She graduated and came out and decided she wanted to coach for a year. She went to Presbyterian College. She coached for a year or so, and then just decided that she wanted to go and start the real world, she would say, I guess, being flexible and, what the real world is to young kids these days. But I think that when I watch it, the WNBA's make progress. They progressed to the point where salaries are getting much better, it looks like. The European opportunity, is a good route that they could take if they're willing to go away from home. That's always, as I always say, it's tougher than you think, to make that sacrifice to leave your country to go play and live in another country to play basketball. But I see that the game is exciting. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I'd rather watch a good WNBA game than a good NBA game. It depends on who's playing,
right?
Because the execution and the passion that's still in the game, and the players that's supposed to be playing are playing most of the time. So I think it has a great future. I hope that some of the a couple of years ago I had a young lady that I coached, Paris Key, played for the Liberty. I coached her in high school AAU. And she ended up playing in the WNBA. Cheyenne Parker is in the WNBA that I coached. So they have a good outlook, and they're doing quite well, and they've done well. And so I'm hoping that the NBA will continue to support it so that they can continue to grow and become close to the man, to the way the men are treated. There are some setbacks. I already read about the flying and all those things, the difficulty in getting places. But, hopefully that's going to change and come around. But, things take time sometimes, and it's been a long time. But, you still got to wait for everybody to be ready for it, and I think that the NBA is putting a lot of time and energy and looking into to make sure that they get treated fairly.
Right. And, my wife was saying, Sherelle did go to West Virginia University to get a master's after she left Fairfield. And, I always say it like this, right? And, we always want it now, in terms of, resources and stuff like that. But when I think about the first 25 years of the NBA, in the very beginning, most of the NBA players were working during the day and playing at night. And get up the next morning and go to work. So the NBA did not start off in the inception with what we see today. Right. And I remember we were still struggling at the 50th anniversary. Right. We was just starting to turn that corner with the TV contracts, and people were buying into the whole mindset of the NBA, right? And it started to, and some players were very instrumental in that, like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. When they came and they made it, people wanted to see that, you know. And then you get, you know, Michael Jordan comes in, and now this thing starts to go global, right? And I think that the WNBA is trending. For a minute that it wasn't trending, you know,
right?
They were just WNBA.
Existing.
Yeah, they you know, they were just mom and pop, you know, and now you see them trending in the right direction, where people are starting to see the value, because if the product or service cannot make value, make resource, right? And once you begin to make resource and people are willing to invest into that, you know, then you see the salary start to grow. Everything just starts to grow. And I think that the WNBA is trending in that direction.
I do too. Yeah. Well, it's not going backwards. I mean, they're making more money. You know, they're putting the teams in good cities. So I think that's a positive. So in time, I think, you know, as long as they're not talking about cutting the league out, everything's fine.
Yeah. Because we always want to see our daughters in the WNBA, you know. Yeah. Right. So, yeah, man, this has been good, man. You know, catching up, man. It was great to see you. Was about a month ago.
Yeah.
Right.
January 29th in New York.
Yeah. Man, I was like, wow, I'm gonna get when I called you on the phone, man. I'm down here with Sherelle down here at the Gaucho's gym, and you said, man, I'm on my way down there, man. I was like, what? I'm gonna get to see Delaney.
I'll be walking in a second.
Nah, that was great, man. Yeah, man. Let me telling people, man. You be telling all the other coaches, man. Yeah, man. I played with Lowe's over there. He don't have no assists.
Lowe's, listen. All they gotta do is Google and go back. They will see beside your name one assist, probably every now and then. But it was okay because, you know, when I first got there, when I was in New York, they told me about you. They said it. They said, man, this dude is a scoring machine. And they were right. Hey, listen, it is what it is. At that time, it was good for me to witness because, you know, like I said, I was in your state, on your turf, and it was your game. And so I'm just happy you all let me, you know, fit in, because I would stop at a Wendy's in New York on the way to practice, and they would say, boy, where you from?
They heard that accent, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Where you in North Carolina, South Carolina? Where you from?
Yeah.
Man, I thank you, man. I appreciate it. And man, we're gonna be coming down that way, and as a part of our plan, we're gonna be coming down that way. I need to carve out some time, man, where we can get together and we can hang out. You know, I know.
Call me when you got the number. When you're coming through this way, let me know.
Yeah, and if you're playing in a tournament up here, man, hey, let me know. You know, when you're on your way, man, come out and check the girls out, man. Yeah, we got them great pictures of you, man. Yeah, and yeah, man, we come out.
Look at that defensive stance right there.
Oh yeah, Delaney Rudd. Yeah, hey, you know what I forgot to remember when you dunked on that's right, y'all. Delaney could dunk, right? You dunked on was it Manute Bowl?
Hey, if you didn't dunk on Manute Bowl, he blocked your shot.
And you know what I loved about the dunk? I loved it because you know, if you try to shoot over Manute, he never left the ground, right? You know, so he, you know, because when he put his hands up like that, see, like my hand, he'd be over the rim, just standing there, you know. I'll never forget it. You dunked on him, right? You gave us the blueprint to how you dunk on Manute.
Yeah.
You did. You did. You went to dunk on him, and you didn't try to go over him to dunk. You went because he couldn't close his arm like that.
Quick dunk.
Yeah, right over the top of his head. You know, it's just like boom, like, you know, because you either got to go like this, you know, to block the shot, because you can't go like that unless somebody's trying to get over you. You went right over his head and dunked on him and knocked him to the floor.
All I remember is this: when Manute got up, Manute closed his eyes and pointed his finger like this and said, "Never again, never again."
Oh man, that's awesome, man. Delaney dunked on Manute, and all we were trying to avoid was getting dunked on by Spud Webb. That's what we was trying to avoid.
Yeah. So that was that was interesting. That was interesting, at least.
Yeah. Well, Delaney, thanks, man. I love spending this time with you, man. Tell the women I said hello.
I will, man. Lowe's, I appreciate it, man. I thank you very much. It was great seeing you, and happy that everybody's doing well. And you know, it sounds just like we were talking back when, you know, back those days. You know,
that's right.
Same old stuff. And so I'm happy we're all still here. And you know, I look forward next time we get together, man.
Yes, sir. Just hold on for a second. I'm gonna close out. So again, I want to thank you for joining me this week on the Blueprint, man. You know, I love your support. You seen down low. If you like the show and you go to YouTube, I mean, you can subscribe, like it. But I enjoy you guys getting on each and every week. We want to continue to bring you good quality shows. And tonight was definitely that with my main man, Delaney Rudd. I had a good time, man. Hopefully that, you know, a lot of things, if you got student athletes, we're in March Madness, man, and you got a son or a daughter who's growing up, man, and they excited about playing basketball. Let me say this, and I'm sure Delaney would agree, right? That your kids should love to play, right? And I'll just, for parents, look, let the coach, right? I mean, you know, you in the stands, he trying to coach and you trying to tell them what to do, and they looking at you and not looking at the coach, man, let the coach, you know. And even if you played, I mean, I always think it's a good thing to be able to talk to your daughter or your son as a former player, right? And then you got to know when to we all have to learn how to know when to let go, right? And let the coaches and mentors do their job. And I mean, you know, this I know the lady is, I'm gonna speak for him, you know, that I know we want them to go to WNBA. We want our guys to go to NBA, right? Let me say this: you can't live your dreams through them. They got to have their own dreams. You know, be supportive, love them, right, and give them all that they need to be successful. 3 things: in the classroom, on the court, and one of the final things coaches are always looking for is good character. They're always looking for good people. And so I look forward to seeing you next week, man. I love you guys. The Oscars is on tonight, man. I'm about to go upstairs and see who's winning. And man, I love you guys. God bless you. And I say each and every week, if God blesses you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke. I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.